appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebolomo Adekunle in our major story. All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari unveils Yemi Osinbajo as his ruling mate for the 2015 general elections. Also in this program, Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade says the nation's military is winning the counter-insurgency war against Boko Haram. Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala lays down 2015 budget to both houses of the National Assembly. And outside Nigeria, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott orders a probe into the Sydney cafe siege that claimed 3 lives. And now the details. After much speculation, presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress has announced Professor Yemi Osinbajo as his running mate for the 2015 presidential elections. In justifying his choice, Buhari described the senior advocate of Nigeria as a man of integrity and a role model. Several party leaders attended the press briefing in Abuja, where Osinbajo was named as Buhari's running mate.
To assist me in this great task of securing Nigeria's future, I have chosen a man of impeccable integrity, an excellent professional, a man of faith, a devoted family man, and a role model to our fellow countrymen and women. I present Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who by the grace of God and the vote of Nigerians will be the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I accept the nomination gladly and happily, and I'm honored to work with General Buhari, who everyone knows, even his detractors know, that he is an upright, honest man who is fiercely committed to good governance. And I believe that it will be a special privilege to work with him.
National leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, says he was given the option of becoming the running mate of Muhammadu Buhari, the party's presidential candidate, but he turned it down in the national interest. In a statement issued on Wednesday, he says, and I quote, he moved about Buhari's offer as being human, but he had to look at the large picture in view of the Muslim ticket controversy. And it says, there came a time during the course of the events when a presidential candidate, Muhammadu Buhari, offered the vice presidential slot to me. Being a normal human being, I was deeply moved and honored that he would consider me for the position. Being a patriot, I had to weigh my potential candidacy in all of its dimensions, he said. Former Kwara State Governor, Senator Bukola Saraki, has clarified the role played by the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, in the choice of Professor Yemi Osinbajo as a running mate for Muhammadu Buhari. He said in a statement issued in Abuja that contrary to reports, Tinubu was not bent on imposing himself as vice presidential candidate. Saraki noted that as someone privy to the meetings, the former Lagos State governor was keen on drawing attention to the issue of religion and ethnicity and had ruled himself out. This, he explained, is in spite of the fact that the Southwest is not known to pay too much attention to religion in the choice of candidates. Senator Bukola Saraki hailed the choice of Professor Osinbajo as the party's vice presidential candidate and running mate of General Muhammadu Buhari. The Lagos Vice Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Wahab Ologunde, has described the emergence of Yemi Osinbajo as the party's vice presidential candidate as a result of the expectation of all Nigerians. He added that the combination of Buhari and Osinbajo will bring about the change Nigerians have keenly looked forward to.
The emergence of our vice presidential candidate a few hours ago is a very welcome development, not only to APC members, but to the generality of the Nigerian populace, especially the voters. Because everybody has been angling for a change. We have had more than enough of the nonsense being done by PDP in the name of governance for so many years. And we cannot continue to suffer and allow this country to go from bad to worse. The country deserves a change. And what has simply happened by the emergence of the vice presidential candidate is to tell all Nigerians that the APC is very well set for the task and the challenges ahead. And by the grace of God, we shall not disappoint Nigerians.
For many years, the Nigerian media have been sold on a wild goose chase on the correct spelling of one man's name, a prominent Nigerian for that matter. It was not until now that it dawned on the entire media we've all been fooled in the same direction. Probably a course at the annual spelling bee competition, ironically put together by the wife of a leading opposition figure for students of primary and secondary schools in Lagos, would have since undone this great damage. But why has the person concerned never thought of correcting this anomaly? Well, that is really a case for another day. Thank God it is never too late. CoreTV newsroom was thrown into a mild drama Wednesday morning over the development. The rest is the story in this report.
CoreTV News librarian Bankole Ajibade and producer of the station's breakfast show, Emmanuel Ajayi, had stumbled on what has turned out to be the correct name of the APC vice presidential candidate, Yemi Osinbajo, and quickly brought it to the attention of the news production desk. It became a subject of arguments because it did not sink in on time. A check on the man's Twitter handle was to later change the arguments in favor of the two. A peep into Nigeria's independent online newspaper, The Cable, again brought the issue to bear and finally laid it to bed. According to The Cable, the APC vice presidential candidate is so relatively new to the public eye that the media don't even know his correct surname. The media in Nigeria know him as Yemi, quite alright, but is it Yemi Osinbajo? His name has been misspelled by the media for the past 15 years, and there is no indication that he has ever tried to correct it. Self-effacing and relatively new to the political fray, indeed, there are not many pictures to choose from when you Google his name. To his credit, though all searches for Osinbajo or Osinbajo lead to the same person, some consolation there according to The Cable. The Punch has been alternating between Osinbajo and Osinbajo. CoreTV News, TVC, Channels Television, This Day, PM News, The Cable and Premium Times, to name but this few, seem fascinated with Osinbajo. Why Nigeria wrote Osinbajo in one headline and Osinbajo towards the end of the story. The nation, which should know him very well, is sure it is Osinbajo. To know more about him, here are a few facts on the intellectual and public speaker. His name is Yemi Osinbajo. Memorize it because you may need it later. Oshibajo, that is 8 letter words. The cable says it has been obsessed with Oshibajo for no known reason. But this erratum, according to the online newspaper, should call its editors to order henceforth. We mean to also add here that all Nigerian journalists should henceforth take this into consideration. The meaning of his name is not easily accessible to the younger Yoruba generation. All they will tell you is that Oshin is a water bird and Aju is a journey. Now to connect the two and make sense out of it is left to the older generation. The cable refuses to hazard a meaning, but Oshibajo's well-wishers will certainly hope his journey to Asura could be as smooth as Oshin sailing on water. In his native Ijebu, one of the oldest and most distant dialects of the Yoruba language, Oshi could also refer to a child, and Oshibajo, Oshibo láti àjò, could then be interpreted to mean a child has returned from a journey, a good sign that all went well. In that case, his well-wishers will be hoping that his journey into politics will be worth the while, and he will have every reason to rejoice when he ends his national service. We at CoreTV joined the cable and the rest of the nation's media to hope Oshibajo himself will take time when he's less busy to explain the meaning of his name to us for our education. Everybody who got it wrong should, however, be forgiven. Oshibajo is but a new kid on the block. He has been limited to the intellectual and ecclesiastical circles since the left government in 2007. Here lies the big lesson. What a name, what a spelling.
You know, the Southwest PDP has again rolled out support for President Goodluck Jonathan as the candidate of the party for the 2015 presidential election. The party members turned out in their large number in Lagos to showcase the president and his achievements ahead the poll. Olajumoke Olatunji has more in this report.
Barely 2 months away from the 2015 general elections and with the just concluded party primaries nationwide, which have also produced party candidates for different political positions, the stage is set as Nigerians eagerly await the polls. With the ratification of President Goodluck Jonathan by 2,050 delegates at the recent National Convention of the PDP as the party's candidate for the February 14 presidential election, its leadership, members and supporters are again set to flow in the direction of its flag bearers. Against this backdrop, the Southwest PDP converged in Lagos to show their support for their candidate ahead next year's presidential election. Speaking at the occasion, one-time Attorney General and Minister of Justice Richard Akinjide stated while it is essentially necessary to support the Jonathan's ambition ahead the 2015 presidential election.
That our candidate Goodluck Jonathan will definitely win the next election. Essentially, only 2 candidates for the coming election. And number 1 is our own candidate, Goodluck Jonathan. And the other candidate is from the other weak party, who we all know very well.
A chieftain of the party in Lagos, Bode George, assures Jonathan's readiness to complete his work on the transformation of Nigeria.
President Jonathan is the first president who convoked a national conference that started as an elected, not military. You know, we military used to, by fiat, create constitution. This man had the nerves, the temerity, the conviction that there was need for us to discuss the Nigerian project. He started it. He did not at any point interfere with the process of that conference. He allowed us to discuss our nation, to discuss profound solutions to the problems of this country. And I can confidently tell you, because I was a delegate there, that for the first time I saw Nigerians of all shades and character, from the swampy forest to the savanna regions in the north, explain the problems and provide solutions to these problems.
Another PDP chieftain, Tanko Yakasai, absolved Jonathan of blame over the issue of insurgency and called for unity beyond political party lines in finding solution to the issue.
Boko Haram came to the Nigerian scene way back in the year 2002. That was 3 years into General Obasanjo's presidential tenure when he was elected in 1990. By 2002, General Obasanjo was 3 years in office. That was the time when Boko Haram started. Between that time to date, Boko Haram struck at different locations and different places, in particular the north, for more than 12 times. And the federal government has nothing to do with it. And indeed, no government will encourage insurgency against itself.
The summation of opinions at the gathering points in one direction. As agreed, the president like Jonathan is what Nigeria needs at this time of its development. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party have dismissed the threat posed by the opposition All Progressives Congress. They say the ruling PDP remains the party to beat at next year's general election. Addressing journalists after a meeting in Abuja, Chairman of PDP Governors Forum, Godswill Akpabio, says the governors reviewed the state of the party and are confident that it is the only one with national appeal. He said the meeting, which ended in the early hours of Wednesday, is meant for the governors to strategize ahead next year's elections.
The PDP governors met today and reviewed the state of our party and the state of the nation. And of course, it was a strategic meeting because of the period we are in. So we looked at what the situation is today, and we are very confident that with the strategies we have discussed, the PDP remains the party to beat in any election in Nigeria. We feel strongly that at the end of the day, that the propaganda will be lifted, and Nigerians, of course, know the only truly national party that can answer to their aspirations and can enhance the living standard of all Nigerians. And we discussed as colleagues, and we looked at the situation step by step, and we are quite very confident that yes, 2015 remains victory for the PDP.
The Senate has directed its Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission to liaise with INEC on the need to establish special polling units for people displaced by insurgency in the Northeast. This was on the basis of a bill for the amendment of the 2014 Electoral Act, sponsored by the Senator Ali Ndume, representing Borno South Senatorial District. Ndume later spoke with newsmen on why special arrangements are necessary for internally displaced persons.
We still prefer to be in your house and you feed yourself than you be in a camp where you are being fed.
What can you say to the Nigerian military so far?
Well, the Nigerian military is doing its best. The progress so far is very encouraging, and I hope they continue with that, because as at yesterday, I think the Nigerian military are approaching Goza, and we are very hopeful that maybe even before the election, we will be able to go back to our homes. In that way, we will not be worried about the issue of internally displaced persons that are taking the polling unit to where they are camping. We hope that this thing will come to an end as early as possible.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, is convinced that the success of its national convention will propel the party to victory at the 2015 general elections. Join us for details of these and more right after this break. Don't go away.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Professor.
My former students.
Happy birthday.
Every day, life is made better by the moments of surprise we create for others and for ourselves. Be better. Surprise someone this season and make sure to text 11 to 400 to get a surprise from MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Thank you for being there. And for more news and other information, you can visit our social media platform. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. And if you're just joining us, here are the stories that made our headlines. All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari unveils Yemi Osinbajo as his running mate for the 2015 general elections. Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade says the nation's military is winning the counter-insurgency war against Boko Haram. Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala lays down 2015 budget to both houses of the National Assembly. The All Progressives Congress, APC, is convinced that the success of its national convention will propel the party to victory at the 2015 general elections. This was the party's position at the formal presentation of the report of the convention by the Planning Committee, headed by former Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi. Party leaders also maintained that they are ready to handle any fallout from the convention.
That has been generated, victory will almost certainly be within our grasp. Of course, let's get it clear. I don't want anybody to go with the impression that we are already savoring and celebrating. No, we are not. There's going to be a lot of hard work. We are taking on an incumbent government. We realize that. We are taking on a desperate government. We realize that. And we are preparing for all possible eventualities as we march along to the elections in February 15th.
The operating ethos that guided us was really accountability, equity, inclusion, and transparency. And that's why at the end of the exercise, no single aspirant had any complaint to make about the process that was witnessed in Lagos.
Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade has boldly declared again that Nigeria is winning the war against insurgency in spite of the continued activities of Boko Haram in the northeast. He cited the situation in Mubi, one of the towns initially seized by the insurgents, but now under the control of Nigerian security forces. Bade spoke to State House correspondents shortly after leading security chiefs to a breakfast session with President Goodluck Jonathan.
Of course, we are aware of the security situation in the country, and the president thought it fit to call us this morning for us to come and brief him about the current situation of things. And that's what we have done. We have told the president exactly where we are and our future plans. But as you know, we can't talk about our future plans because that would be now telling the enemy what we are doing. I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yes, the SSS arrested some group of people who they said they were the fake negotiators. We know that once you told us that the government, there was a truce, between government and the Boko Haram people. And this turned out to be fake negotiators. So what's your comment on this?
What? It's better not to discuss those things. SSS is on it. They are doing their own investigations, and when they finish, they started with the briefing yesterday. They have told you exactly what they are doing. I think we better just leave SSS to handle that one, and they will tell the nation exactly what is happening.
Can we really say we are winning this war, sir?
We are certainly not losing it. We are winning the war. Don't worry. Nigerians should have faith in their military. The nation will win this war.
Life is returning to Mubi now. Where do you take off from here? I mean, the way people are coming back, the EMIA, everybody is returning to. Where are you taking off from there?
Well, they have gone back. Life is back to normal in Mubi. Life is back to normal everywhere around that place. And we are liberating more and more communities, and people are moving in. Life is running back to normal gradually.
2015 election is
it will hold. It will hold. Don't worry.
It will hold.
It will hold.
What are you doing about the problem of fifth columnists?
Don't worry. The military is handling fifth columnists in its own way. Okay.
Thank you very much. Best of luck, sir. All right.
President Goodluck Jonathan has condoled with the government and people of Pakistan on the loss of over 140 people, mostly children, in a terrorist attack on Peshawar. He also assured Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif that Nigeria stands in full solidarity with Pakistanis as they mourn the Taliban attack on an army children's school. Presidential spokesman Ruben Abati quotes Jonathan as saying that the atrocity in Peshawar and recurrent terrorist crimes across the world will reinforce the need for urgent action for more effective regional, continental and global alliances against insurgency and violent extremism. A federal high court in Abuja has set aside the summons issued by the House of Representatives on the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Dezani Alison Madueke, with a view to querying allegations of unofficial spending of 10 billion naira on chartered flights. The minister dragged the National Assembly before the court in a quest to stop the lawmakers from summoning or directing her to appear before any committee. She also urged the court to stop the defendants from asking her to present papers or give evidence before a panel without approval from the presidency. Delivering judgment in the suit, Justice Ahmed Mohammed faulted the summons on the grounds that there was no evidence to show that the House resolution from which the summons emanated was published in the Journal of the National Assembly or the official gazette of the federal government. Justice Mohammed noted that the federal lawmakers had the power to invite any public officer for the purpose of investigating their activities, but faulted their failure to publish the House resolution as required under Section 88 of the 1999 Constitution. The court, however, dismissed the plaintiff's prayer for the House to get approval from the presidency before the minister can be summoned. The House Committee on Public Accounts had, through letters dated March 26, 2014, invited the Petroleum Resources Minister and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to appear before it for the purposes of investigating the allegations of illegal spending of public funds levied against them. Kwara State Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed has sworn in Suleiman Kawu as the state's new substantive chief judge. Ahmed, while speaking at the swearing-in charged the new chief judge to work with other stakeholders on how best to fast-track dispensation of justice. For justice delayed, according to him, may be seen as justice denied.
As you are aware, justice delayed is justice denied. I therefore call on Honorable Justice S.D. Kawu, the substantive Chief Judge of our state, to lead the way by charting a new course for the rapid dispensation of justice in our state and nationally. In doing so, we will not only be reducing wastage and enhancing public confidence in the judiciary, much of the infraction prevalent in the system will be curtailed, and those who seek redress in court will be assured of quick resolution. Additionally, those who perpetrate impunity will think twice before embarking on such transgression.
Respondent Justice Suleiman Kawu assured the people of the state that the justice system will continue to perform optimally.
Because of this ceremony, you know me better than I know myself, and I know myself better than these people who praise me. Make me better than what they think of me, and forgive those sins of mine of which they have no knowledge, and do not hold me responsible for what they say or good. I would like to assure your Excellency on the final note that by the special grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I shall justify the confidence which will boast in me by this appointment.
The Federal Executive Council has approved a number of contracts for road rehabilitation in several parts of the country at its last meeting in the year. It also endorsed the construction of an inland port in Benue State and a port berth in Lagos. Minister of Works Mike Onolememen and his transport counterpart Idris Umar briefed State House correspondents at the end of the meeting, presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan.
I brought 2 memos to Council seeking approval for 4 major road projects across the country, which were considered and approved by Council. The details of the projects are number 6266 for the rehabilitation of the outstanding section of Onitsha-Enugu Expressway from Amasia to Enugu in Enugu State, in favor of ROCC Nigeria Limited in the sum of 24.2 billion naira with a completion period of 36 months. Council had awarded contract for the phase 1 of the Sokoto, Tamboa, Jega, Biniyari Road in Sokoto, Kebbi, and Niger State.
I brought 2 memos to Council, one for the construction of Bath 21 at Terminal E, Lagos Port Complex, Apapa, and then the other one for a contract for the construction of Inland River Port at Makurdi in Benue State. For the first memo, I brought the memo and then Council approved the contract for the construction of Bath 21 at Terminal E, Lagos Port Complex, Apapa, in favor of Messrs. Greenview Development Nigeria Limited, which is a special purpose vehicle of the Dangote Industries Limited, in the sum of $59.69 million, inclusive of all taxes, for the construction of the project within the unexpired term of the company's concession period of 25 years on design, build, operate, and transfer basis with a completion period of 18 months.
It's the CoreTV Primetime News. We'll go on another break, and when we return, we would be back with business, sports, and other stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Professor.
My former students.
Happy birthday
Life is made better by the moments of surprise we create for others and for ourselves. Be better. Surprise someone this season and make sure to text 11 to 400 to get a surprise from MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Now to business news. Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has presented the 2015 budget estimates to the National Assembly. She laid the document separately in the two chambers without making any speech. The lawmakers adjourned till January 13 after receiving the 2015 spending plan. But before leaving the complex, the finance minister told journalists that the government is sticking with $65 per barrel benchmark in spite of the decline in oil prices.
I've laid the budget on behalf of His Excellency, Mr. President. This budget is based on a few key indicators: a $65 a barrel benchmark, and we are going to stick to it for now in spite of the declining prices, because we feel the average price next year will be around 65 to 70. The production level is 2.27 million barrels per day. We are expecting, we've revised the growth rate based on the new parameters for the country down from 6.35 to 5.5% next year, but that is still one of the fastest growth rates we're experiencing in the world today. We have a budget expenditure of about 4.3 trillion, revenues of 3.6 trillion. We've tried to make up for the drop from $78 a barrel to 65 by raising non-oil revenues. This budget points to the fact that this country is a non-oil country, and I think we want Nigerians to begin to think of the country in that way. So we have worked very hard with the guidance of Mr. President to move on non-oil revenue. So we have closed many loopholes and leakages. We've tried to broaden the tax base.
Few hours after presenting the 2015 budget proposal to federal lawmakers, Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala gave a breakdown of the spending plan at a news conference in Abuja. The finance minister revealed that falling oil prices has forced the country to review its growth rate estimates to 5.5% from its original projection of 6.35%. To boost its revenue drive, Nigeria is strengthening its tax administration as well as tightening public sector spending in the aftermath of fluctuating oil prices.
In the short term, we are determined to improve tax revenues, not by increasing tax rates. This is the short term I'm talking about, but rather looking at strengthening tax administration. If your tax administration is not strong, even if you change your tax rates, you still not be able to collect enough. So we are focusing on strengthening the FIRS to improve their collection capacity. And I'm pleased to inform that this effort has been going very, very well, and I want to thank our FIRS staff for their efforts. With the support of the McKinsey Group, they've been able to bring in additional revenues by plugging leakages, improving...
And now let's join Sabena Izoku for the stock market report.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN. MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabena Izoku. The equities markets on the Nigerian Stock Exchange floor closed on a negative note for the third time. The All Shares Index depreciated by 2.78% to close at 28,961.67 basis points. In the same manner, market capitalization went down to close at 9.56 trillion naira. A total of 481 million units of shares valued at 6.2 billion naira were exchanged in 3,822 deals. 7 up top the gainers chart, followed by Beta Glass, Union Deacon, Restaric, and Extransact. On the losers side, separate all top the losers chart for the second day, followed by Nestle, 40 Oil, Total, and Mobil Oil. Meanwhile, Guaranteed Trust Bank topped the traders chart, followed by Fidelity Bank, Custody, Constitua, and United Bank for Africa. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Thank you, Sabina. And now it's on to Brownson Uwana, who will be taking us around the world of sports.
Thanks for joining me on Sport News tonight. I am Brownson Uwana. Nigeria will take on Mali and Cote d'Ivoire in friendly matches in Abu Dhabi in the new year, according to NFF boss Amaju Pinnick. Pinnick revealed to journalists that plans have been concluded to camp the home base Eagles in Abu Dhabi. The Ivorians, Cameroon, Mali and Guinea have been put together in Group D and almost all African affairs, and so are seeking to prepare themselves for the African Cup of Nations Group D. Sports kit manufacturing giant Adidas have provisionally agreed to extend their sponsorship deal with Nigerian Football Federation pending a contract renewal. NFF President Amaju Pinnick explained that the federations have earlier planned to renew the contract, which runs out at the end of December. The NFF chief revealed that the leadership crisis that engulfed the NFF in recent months occasioned the delay in renewal of the kit sponsorship contract. The kit sponsorship deal between the NFF and Adidas was first struck in 2011. Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti have set to complete a successful 2015. The team must crown it with a World Club Cup title. European champions Real Madrid crushed Cruz Azul 4-0 to cruise into the World Club Cup final, totally outclassing their Mexican rivals.
No.
I really didn't imagine it. I think this year we did very well. Now we still have one match to go, so it can end well. We are going to prepare. It is the best match because this team deserves the title. To crown this fantastic year with a world title. This was a good game against a side that tried a lot. We knew it was a semi-final. But we approached the game as if it were a final. We wanted to win the game in a certain way, and I think tonight we'll play the game in a good way too. It's been a very good year with a lot of titles, either with Madrid or France. In the end, we didn't win anything with France, but it's a very good year that brought us a lot of pleasure and joy. I have really enjoyed myself playing for Real Madrid and France. It was obvious that Real Madrid won, and it is justice because they are far superior. The score reflects what happened on the pitch. For us, it has been a very good experience, a joy to play against a team so good, individually and collectively. Of course, we have wanted to keep the ball more, getting goal more than often, have a closer score, but really, we have to congratulate and applaud Real Madrid, and not only for today's match, but for how well they play and they have done in the Champions League and their championship.
Thank you for being there. Now to other stories from outside Nigeria. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott has ordered an urgent inquiry into why a deranged Islamic gunman was not under surveillance and how he obtained citizenship as security was stepped up after a fatal cafe siege. Iranian-born man Harun Moniz, 50, had a history of extremism and violence and was on bail for a string of charges, including sexual offences and abetting the murder of his ex-wife. Yet he was allowed to roam free, and he took 17 hostages at a cafe in the heart of Sydney on Monday, unfurling an Islamic flag during a 16-hour siege, which left him and 2 innocent victims dead. 6 others were wounded. The gunman, whom Abbott called a madman, was well known to both state and federal police and the domestic spy agency ASIO, but was not on any Australian counter-terrorism watch list.
That you are as safe as any government can possibly make you. How he was given permanent residency and the circumstances under which he was given permanent residency how he came to be, for such a large part of his time in Australia, on social security benefits, given that he appears to be able-bodied, if not necessarily of sound mind. These are all important questions, and I share the exasperation of the Australian public at what appears to be someone who has been having a lend of us, at the very least, for so many years.
That's it on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a recap of our major stories. All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari unveiled Yemi Osinbajo as his running mate for the 2015 general elections. We also reported that the Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Badi, said the nation's military is winning the counter-insurgency war against Boko Haram. Finally, Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has laid down 2015 budget to both houses of the National Assembly. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott ordered a probe into the Sydney cafe siege that claimed 3 lives. And that's it. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebulomo Adekunle, wishing you a pleasant night rest.